Good. I want to say thank you to all the children for leading out so far today, and also thank you to the choir who's always ready to sing for us. So I was asked to speak last week, but I'm not really a preacher, I'm not a speaker. I don't really know how to preach. So I didn't think I was going to be able to do it justice to learn how to preach in a week. So I thought I would just do what I'm more used to, which is speaking to children. I teach Sabbath school, I teach Pathfinders now. So today's sermon will be for children. So children, turn off. This is a sermon for you. I will be speaking to you. So forgive me, I get nervous when I speak in front of large crowds, so my voice might shake a bit, but bear with me. Okay, so I also hope that the adults will also learn something from this. You have to take something from it. I also, when I teach my classes, I like to ask questions. So I'll be asking you guys questions, and I hope that you guys will participate and answer. Both children and adults, you are welcome to answer the questions that I ask. That's right. Our Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for bringing us here today so that we can learn and fellowship together. Lord, I ask you please bless all the children we have in this church and help them to grow up close to you, and help them to be blessed by my message today, and help them to implement it in their lives. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Amen. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about an issue I think is prevalent amongst our kids lately, and that is teasing. So who can tell me what teasing is? That's my first question I'm going to ask. Thank you. So who wants to answer my first question? Who can tell me what teasing is?
Teasing is to just always ignoring somebody, someone want to say something to you.
Yeah, you can tease somebody by ignoring them when they want to speak. Anybody else?
Teasing is like when you say something to like annoy them. Cheating is also like when someone like you ask them something, but when you try to ask them something, they will not really answer you.
Teasing is like calling people things and like being rude to them, just annoy them.
To make fun of them.
Yes, exactly. Thank you everyone for answering my first question. So yes, we've had some wonderful examples of what teasing is, and so I also did a little Google, and it said that teasing is intended to provoke or make fun of someone in a playful way. So another word for teasing is making fun, right? And it's got the word fun in it. So it sounds like it should be okay, right? Even in the definition it says fun and playful. But today we're going to talk about teasing and think about how something intended to be taken lightly can actually affect people and can hurt people's feelings. So, who has ever been teased before? Big hand if you've been teased. A few of us around, yeah, seeing some hands. So is anyone okay with me? Okay to share an experience of when they've been teased? Anyone vulnerable enough? Okay, great.
When I was younger, I had this condition called Bell's palsy, and it would come where like half of my face would stop working. So in year 6, there was a couple of boys that made fun of my face. It wasn't really nice.
Yeah, when I was in primary school, I said I wanted to become a basketball player, but I was short, so I got made fun of for being short. So yeah.
I think it's a family affair today. Yeah, when I was in secondary school, they were teasing me. My name is Darlington, so whenever they see me passing around, they'll call me Darling.
Anyone?
Growing up, I was very, very skinny, very tiny and very bony. And so they came up with a name that, because I was very sensitive about that, wasn't very funny, but it was funny to them because it was true. So they called me Skinny Mabonzo. So it was funny to them and they'll laugh about it, but it was not very nice.
Anybody else want to share? Okay, thank you everyone. When I was a lot younger here, out of our age group, I'm the youngest one. So they used to pick on me in church in regards to my age. So every time the really young kids would go to children's story, they would tease me and tell me that I need to go, even though I was like 15 and grown. Okay, I think we've all had experience of someone teasing you. Thank you all for sharing, being vulnerable. So I've also been teased before. I used to get teased at school by some people, and do you know what they would do? They would throw pens and pencils in my hair. It's not very nice, is it? And I'd tell them to stop because it hurt and it made me feel bad and it would annoy me. But they said that it was fun. They thought, oh, it's funny because when they throw pencils in your hair, it sticks in your hair because your hair's poofy and stuff. So I know they just did it because they thought it was fun and funny, but it wasn't very nice to me. Now, who do we think that these people were to me? Who do we get teased by? So sometimes it could be you. Do you want to answer that question? Who do we get teased by?
Your friend. Anyone.
Your friends.
Yes. Could be any, yeah. So sometimes it could be people we don't know, but I think most of the time it's people that we call our friends. So these people at my school, they weren't strangers I've never spoken to before. They're people who I hang out with at break time, and people who I'd say, yeah, you're my friend, but they thought it was okay to do things like tease me. And I think that can be worse than when it's from a stranger, when it's from your friend. Because when we're hurt by our friends, we don't want to show that we've been hurt. But eventually I told them that if they didn't stop, I'd break their pens and pencils and then they wouldn't have anything to write with in class, so I had to stop eventually. But you want your time with your friends to be fun. So we feel like we don't want to make things awkward by showing that we're hurt. And so what do we do when we get teased? Because we feel bad or embarrassed when we get teased, we lash back out. We want to make fun of the person that made fun of us, because then people won't be looking and laughing at us, right? They'll be looking and laughing at someone else. So I'll give you an example of this. So last week, speaker Neil, he spoke about vulnerability, so I'm going to share something, a little meme that I did, and show you that even though I'm a grown-up, I still make mistakes and can learn to be better as well. So I also think that often we think of ourselves as victims and that we have to overcome all the bad things in the world, but it's important to also look at ourselves and realize that we can also do better. So here's my story. So a few weeks ago, I was at the pub with my friends and we were just sitting about and chatting like usual. And then in the conversation, we started to talk about how long it took us to pass our driving tests. Children, eventually you're going to learn how to drive. And we were reminiscing about this, and one of my friends, I'm going to substitute the names in case they don't want me saying their names, so let's call my friend Ruby. She said, I passed my driving test on the first go. And she said to my friend, we're going to call her Jill, Jill, how many times did it take you to pass your driving test? So, we all knew that it took Jill a little bit of time to pass her driving test. And so she didn't really want to say how long it took her. We knew it took her like 3 times, but Jill didn't want to answer, so she was just like, yeah, whatever, like, it may have taken me a long time, but like, I passed before you guys all passed, and she was like trying to not seem embarrassed, right? But we kept teasing her. And my friend Ruby, she went around asking everyone, how long did it take you to pass your driving test? And Chrissy said, oh yeah, I did it on my first time. She said, Josie, how long did it take you to pass your driving test? The first time? I was like, yeah, and like high five. So yeah, we were all giggling, laughing at Jill, because she took a long time to pass her driving test. But let's think about Jill in this situation. How do we think Jill was feeling? Bad? Anyone? Sad? Bad? Jill wasn't feeling very good, right? Yeah, she wasn't feeling great. She was feeling like embarrassed. So, what do we think Jill did after that? Or what do we think Jill should have done? What do we think Jill did?
She should have stood up for herself.
Yeah, she should have said something like, oh guys, it's not really nice, I'm sensitive about that, so could you please not tease me about it? But I'll tell you what actually happened. So she didn't want to feel embarrassed anymore, so like I said, when people feel embarrassed, they tend to try and take the attention off them and put it on someone else. So she decided that she was going to tease someone else, and that person was unfortunately me. So next, we started talking about what grades we got at our A-levels. Now, I didn't get the grades that I wanted at my A-levels, and before that I was usually really good at school, so she knew that I was sensitive about not getting the grades that I wanted to. And so she said, and Josie, what grades did you get in your A-levels? And I was a little embarrassed, right, because I didn't want to talk about it, because I didn't like to remember. So what do you think I said? Or what should I have said? Said, oh, it doesn't matter. Just I don't remember. Is that what anyone said? Anyone, what should I have said? Maybe the same thing before. I should have just been like, oh, I don't really like to be teased about that. Could you not say something like that? But unfortunately, I didn't take the high road in this situation. And I said, well, it doesn't matter what grades I got because I make more money than you now anyway. Gasp, right? And that was pretty funny, right? Everyone was laughing. And all my friends laughed. They all thought it was really, really funny, right? And so it felt really good. But then I looked at my friend Jill. And how did she look? How do you think Jill was feeling? Not very nice. Worse, right? Bad. She looked embarrassed. And she was trying to laugh it off, but I could tell that what I said to her, she made her feel bad. And it didn't matter if she had started it first. I saw that it made my friend feel bad, and I felt bad about that, because I didn't intend to do that. And I think often when we think of teasing, we think, oh, it's just a little thing, a little joke, but I had done something to make my friend feel bad. So, making fun of each other can really hurt each other's feelings. And it's not really fun at all. It just spiraled into one person making fun of another person to make themselves feel better. And again, the cycle goes round, and then we all just end up feeling a little bit rubbish, and we just feel like we always have to be back and forth to be able to not be the one being made fun of. So, I think the moral of that story is that when we want to make fun of our friends, even if we think it's a joke and people will laugh, let's think about each other's feelings first and not say mean things to each other. And then we'll all be a bit happier, right? Yeah. So I'll bring it back to our text for today, which was Proverbs chapter 12, verses 18. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. So in my Sabbath school class, I always, whenever someone reads the verse, somebody has to explain what it means. So does anyone want to explain what our verse means? Probably one more time. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise bring healing.
I think it means that before we even speak, we should think about what we're going to say and be sensitive to people around us so that we don't say things that may hurt someone, because those words are piercing and they may leave a wound on their heart. But good words which are wrapped up in, carefulness and love, they bring healing. Or maybe if you can say a helping word to someone, it brings healing other than piercing words.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Andy. So it means that words really have power. And what you say can really hurt people, or it can make them really happy. So we shouldn't think of mean words as just a joke, because the Bible says they pierce like swords, which means they can really hurt. Okay, so we've talked about why we shouldn't make fun of each other, right? But what should we do if we're getting made fun of? Usually we don't like to show when our feelings are hurt by our friends, and we like to pretend that we're okay. And we don't want to seem like we're not fun by telling someone that our feelings are hurt. But we have to remember that our feelings are actually really, really important. And the people who care about us, our friends, should also care about our feelings. So if we tell them to stop them, if we tell them that our teasing is hurting our feelings, they should understand and stop. So sometimes people think that talking about your feelings can make you weak, but it can actually be a really, really hard thing to do. So it makes you strong. So let's all ask God for strength so that we can take care of our feelings and not bottle them up inside. Because talking about our feelings can help us to feel better. And a quick side note to parents, so please pay attention to your child's feelings. Ask them about how they're feeling and show that you care about the little things that stress them out and make them feel bad. And also that you care about even the little things that make them happy. Make sure you show appreciation when they do things that you think that they should be doing anyway, whether it's like getting good grades or cleaning their room, because it took them some effort. And I think that your children want your approval a lot more than you think that they do. So some appreciation from you can really brighten their day. So that's it from me. Like I said, I'm not a preacher, so my structure is not the best. But I hope that we learned something about thinking about each other's feelings and saying nice words to each other. Because mean words are still mean and can hurt even when they're meant to be a joke, right? So thank you for listening, everybody.